Welcome in to the 48 Minutes Podcast on Believe. I'm Ross Geiger, the former NBA video coordinator, and I'm joined alongside Bruce Bernstein, our four-time Emmy Award winner who spent more than 3 decades at ESPN producing NBA shows, SportsCenter, and soaking up knowledge from the best hoop analysts in the business. Also joining us is the 2-time Emmy Award winner, Michael World B. Freer, who's a senior writer at Stat Factor, specializing in writing advanced statistical NBA reports for various announcers across the league. This is episode number 204, the Zach Randolph episode, as Zebo won the league's Sixth Man of the Year award in 2004 while playing for the Portland Trailblazers. Now let's go ahead and get right into our 48 minutes weekend preview. We've got three games this upcoming weekend that you're not going to want to miss. And that's starting out on Friday night, as we've got a classic rivalry matchup as Luka and the Lakers visit Bruce's Celtics in Boston. Bruce, this will be Luka's first appearance in Beantown wearing a Laker uniform.
You know, Lakers fans are licking their chops at the thought of going into Boston and watching Luka and LeBron combine for around 75 points and crush the Celtics on their home court. But as Lee Corso you'd like to say on College Game Day, not so fast, my friend. LA begins a road trip with a game in Toronto on Thursday, then visits Boston in a back-to-back. LeBron will surely play against Boston, but will he play the front end in Toronto the night before? If he does, there might be a fatigue factor for him in Boston. Now, the Celtics are going to need big nights from Jaylen Brown, Peyton Pritchard, and Derek White, but those three are champions, and the pride is going to kick in against LA. Nimi Keita needs to win his matchup with DeAndre Ayton, and Luka needs to see multiple defenders, which should include Derek White, Jaylen Brown, and maybe even a dash of aggressive rookie Hugo Gonzalez. Ooh. And I think if Boston can hold its own on the boards, I think Boston wins.
All right, World B, what do you got to say on this one?
It should be a really fun matchup. Two teams which you would not expect to be up near the top in offensive efficiency, but there they are. Certainly from Boston's perspective, you wouldn't have expected it with Tatum out and the roster changeover they've had. But, yeah, there they are. Boston's been one of the pleasant surprises, even though they're just around 500, slightly above it. But their offense is top 5 in the league. It's really impressive. They haven't deviated from their usual plan. They still take as many threes, highest percentage of their shots from three as anybody in the league, or they're at least in the top 5 or whatever. They don't turn the ball over, so that's another positive thing always. So, and then it's Lakers Celtics. It's the premier rivalry in the NBA, and it has been forever. There's nothing that will change the excitement behind the Celtics-Lakers game in prime time. Luka gets to face the Celtics again. He never shy about coming up in big games. Jaylen Brown's a big-time performer. So we'll see how it goes. And then, obviously, as Bruce mentioned, LeBron James, we expect him to be available for the Celtics game of the 2 back-to-back there. So it's a real good test for the Lakers, who have to start playing some quality opponents after that 7-game win streak against all teams with losing records. So we'll see how they step up against a quality lineup here.
Yeah, and as far as matchups are concerned, I'm really looking forward to seeing Boston's defenders and the defensive schemes that head coach Joe Mazzulla rolls out there for Luka all night. And as we talked about on Wednesday's show, Bruce, you pointed this out, which I think is going to be huge in this matchup. Austin Reeves. I think if the Lakers are going to have a chance in this game, Reeves has to come up big, and that's with LeBron even out on the court, and with Luka, of course. I think if Reeves has a big game, the Lakers win. If Reeves, is kind of contained in this one, I like Boston's chances for an upset too, because I think Boston has put together a string of games now where they're playing much better basketball. They're on their home floor, and obviously, just given the historic rivalry of this one, they're really going to be up for this one. And we know your crowd will be too, Bruce. They're going to be fired up, and it's always a little sweeter when you get a victory over the Lakers, isn't it?
Oh, it's one of the best feelings in basketball.
There we go.
You get the Knicks on Tuesday. You get the Lakers on Friday. That's a good week for Celtics fans.
Yeah, as long as they win.
Yeah, exactly.
They win.
All right, well, moving on to Saturday night, we've got Steph and the Warriors making their one-time stop into Cleveland to take on the Cavs, World B. What are you looking forward to in this matchup?
Well, I want to see if there's enough healthy bodies to put out on the court. There's really,
That's a good
it's really
starting
been
point.
trouble. It's really been trouble for both teams, especially in Cleveland right now, with all those guys that are just out of the lineup. We talked about it in an earlier show. Jared Allen's out, Darius Garland's out, Max Strus is out, Sam Merrill's out. I mean, they just don't have bodies, and it's showing up in their shooting, which was the key element to their offense last season. They were the best shooting team in the league. This year, they're 19th in field goal percentage. So they've got to pick that up. And the Warriors, I thought, were going to be a team, one more run. This is the one more run out of this roster. So it's still going to happen. We're only in early December. But you need to start seeing it from this group, because the last thing you want to do is have to force yourself to be in a play-in thing again in the Western Conference. Then that's just a recipe for disaster in terms of making a playoff run. So let's see. I want to see if Steph is able to play, how he plays, and I really want to see the Cavaliers have get some guys back and have a decent chance to show us the kind of team that they could be when healthy.
All right, Bruce.
This game should be sponsored by Delta Airlines because of all the long distance action expected. Now, again, hopefully Stephen Curry plays because he and Donovan Mitchell are 1 and 2 in 3-pointers made, with Steph at 4.7 a game and Spida at 4.1. They're the only NBA players making 4 or more 3-pointers per game. The Dubs do have a tough week ahead. They had OKC on Tuesday, a road game in Philly on Thursday. And the Cavs host the Spurs on Friday. So this game will be a second of a back-to-back for Cleveland. If Jared Allen's on the court, I like Cleveland. If he's not, I like Golden State.
All right. Yeah, I think this is an interesting matchup. Bruce, I'm glad you mentioned the leaders in the three-point category, because I think we could talk about this as a head-to-head matchup or a shot-for-shot matchup. I think that'd be a lot of fun to see those two gunning from long distance throughout this one. But this is a game that both teams need. Obviously, both teams are kind of struggling to find their groove, especially with the amount of bodies, as World B alluded to, that are out. So guys are going to need to step up in this one. But always fun when Steph returns to Cleveland. Of course, we've talked on previous shows about the legendary Cavs-Warriors finals matchups, and I'm sure Steph always gets interesting flashbacks when he's in that building playing a tightly contested game against the Cavaliers. So I have the Cavs handling business at home here, even on a second night of a back-to-back. I just think, with the amount of guys that are out right now with the Warriors and their age, was Al Horford even playing this game? He's someone that they would need. I don't see him playing in this one. So I think there's going to be some guys sitting, and I think the Cavaliers will take advantage of that. Now on Sunday, World B, we've gotten a matinee matchup as your Orlando Magic visit your New York Knicks in the Big Apple. So please give me your predictions on this one.
Well, where are my Charlotte Hornets going to be playing too on Sunday? That's another one. I got, are they playing another one of my teams? This should be a fun matchup. It's two of the best teams in the East, and they're starting to establish themselves as those kind of teams that are the prime contenders, along with, say, the Pistons. You're looking at, two of the potentially three best teams in the East. And the Magic have had their number this year. They've really run it up offensively. 124 points in the first match, or one of the matchups, 133 in the second matchup. They've really done the job offensively against the Knicks defense that we expected to take a step back with Mike Brown taking over for Coach Thibodeau, but the offense is obviously picked up for New York. That's the angle they're going at. It should be a fun match. I can't imagine the Knicks are going to be real happy being 0-2 against Orlando, and so they're going to be fired up to get something going, establish themselves as the premier team in the East. They, if you're a Knicks fan like I am, you think you have a team to compete. If you're a Magic fan like I am, you think your team is playing as good as it can play right now, even with Banchero out. So it should be a fun matchup. Maybe the most enjoyable matchup of the week in the league.
All right. And we'll be real quick here. Is the Denver Nuggets, are they one of your teams?
Well, I did predict them to win the NBA title, so they could be my team there.
All right,
We'll
well,
see. We'll see what happens.
That's who the Hornets play on Sunday. So I figured
Well,
maybe we had a chance there. That
I got a feeling
Hornets.
my teams are going to finish 1-2 on Sunday.
Okay. Bruce?
I think the Nuggets have a very good chance of winning that game. Myself.
Bold prediction.
Not bold predictions, cold predictions. All right, Magic Knicks. This is going to be, as you guys both have alluded, the third game between the Magic and Knicks in less than a month. Orlando took the first two, and that second one, that's when Paolo got hurt. Both games were double-digit wins for the Magic. Each team's been playing well, although New York has, struggled against Boston on Tuesday night, that's for sure. If the Knicks lose this game to Orlando on Sunday, all right, that's it for their regular season series. They will go 0-3 against Magic, and they will not play again unless they meet again in the playoffs. And if it's an 0-3 series, that's going to linger in their minds a little bit. That's going to be something that's like a bone stuck in their throat for the rest of the season. And it certainly is going to give Orlando a mental edge if they should meet in the postseason. Banchero remains out for the foreseeable future with that groin injury. So I really do like the Knicks to find a way to get this win on Sunday. They're not gonna allow themselves to be beaten all three games by Orlando.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you. I was kind of looking at those first two games and kind of reviewing what I wanted to do here on game 3 of this matchup within a month. And I think the Knicks are going to make some corrections here and make some adjustments to where they can take advantage of this team without Paolo Banchero, because I'm right there with you. If they can't beat the Magic and go 0-3 and then have to face them in the playoffs after a long layoff of seeing this team in action, that could be a concern for the Knicks come playoff time if they meet in a playoff series.
Okay, now that we're into December, it's officially holiday season with Christmas and New Year's rapidly approaching. So here at 48 Minutes, we thought it was fitting to take a few moments to discuss the holidays. Not Christmas and New Year's, but Jrue, Justin, and Aaron from the NBA's first family, the holidays. Now, most fans assume that Jrue is the oldest Holiday brother since he debuted in 2009, but they'd be wrong. Justin Holiday is actually the oldest, even though his NBA debut was in 2013. Aaron is the youngest. He debuted in 2018, and he's currently on the Houston Rockets. Jrue, well, he's a certain Hall of Famer. 2 championship rings, 2 Olympic gold medals for Team USA. Giannis Antetokounmpo said on this very show back in 2023 that Jrue was the best teammate he ever had.
Yeah, I mean, Jrue Holiday, they don't have a finals ring without Jrue. Just the cohesion he brought to that team, both offensively and defensively, being willing to do whatever the team needed him to do on a nightly basis. Of course, everyone always remembers Giannis's historic Game 5 block where he showed out on Devin Booker, got back to Ayton and blocked the lob attempt there. And they would always show that Giannis lob from Jrue Holiday where Chris Paul pushes him in the air and Giannis just finishes and then mean mugs the camera. But it all started with Jrue Holiday getting his hands on a steal as well on the other end of the floor there. So a lot of things Jrue Holiday did outside of a box score for his teams. And he's always had success everywhere he's gone. It seems like he is a true winner, and everyone has always loved playing with Jrue Holiday.
So the Holiday brothers grew up in L.A. They also had a sister, Lauren, who played college ball at UCLA but had to retire from playing due to injuries. Interestingly, Jrue's wife is also named Lauren. Jrue and Aaron also played at UCLA, as did their sister, while Justin took his talents to Seattle and played for the Washington Huskies. Now, Jrue only played 1 college season. He went right to the NBA as the 17th overall pick in 2009 draft. Aaron played 3 seasons in Westwood and jumped to the NBA in 2018 as the 23rd player chosen in the first round. Justin's road to the NBA was not as smooth as for his brothers, as he was undrafted. He played overseas, did time in the G League before beginning his 11-year NBA career that ended 2 seasons ago.
Yeah, and I think Jrue Holiday, one of the things I remember about him coming out of the draft was just how young he was. Jrue Holiday was an 18-year-old point guard drafted by the Philadelphia 76ers in a heavy point guard draft class. I think that draft class had Brandon Jennings. It also had Ty Lawson. I believe that was also the Steph Curry, Johnny Flynn year as well. So lots of guards in the mix there in that first round. And Jrue Holiday going 19th. I mean, look back on that now. How many teams wish they could have moved up and taken Jrue Holiday with probably a top 5 pick if they could do a redraft.
Yeah, New Orleans wouldn't have taken him though. They wanted Derek Queen instead. Anyway,
Oh.
So the Holidays were the first sibling trio to play in the same NBA game in 2019. Jrue was on those cursed Pelicans, and Justin and Aaron were on the Pacers. The three appeared in the same game several other times after that. Now, I had a chance to meet their parents at the 2018 NBA draft when I was overseeing the social media room for the NBA. Sean and Toya were both basketball players at Arizona State, and even though both were great athletes, they never pushed any of their sons to play in basketball. And when I spoke to Mr. and Mrs. Holiday, I was impressed by the dignified way they carried themselves during a night where the parents of draftees generally celebrate with like over-the-top enthusiasm, as anybody would and should. But the Holidays, they carried themselves like they'd been there before because, wasn't their first rodeo. It was their third.
Yeah, an incredible story there amongst the Holidays there, and very talented family to say the least. I mean, both his parents being Sun Devils at Arizona State, as you said there, Bruce, and then all three of their sons and even their daughter having athletic careers. Quite an amazing feat and an amazing family.
And final thought on holiday season. Jrue has earned almost $300 million in his NBA career, and he's donated many millions to the Jrue and Lauren Holiday Foundation, where their social impact fund helps Black communities from all over the country to move forward, creating change where it's most needed. He is truly a prince among men, okay? Not only a great teammate, a great human being, a role model in every way. So bravo for the Holiday family here during holiday season.
Yeah, and with that, happy holidays to all of our listeners of the 48 Minutes podcast. And that will do it for this edition of the 48 Minutes podcast on Believe. Thanks for tuning in. And we'll be back with you next week. Be sure you're up to date in 48 on all things around the association. Take care, everybody.